Thank you for joining me for another episode of Keeping It Real with America's Supermom. I'm excited to have Marianne with me today. She is a returning guest, and I've been on her show, and
Mhm.
life is happening so much with this world right now, what's going on. So, we are actually coming together, catching up, and sharing some of the great things that she has coming up ahead here in the near future. But
Mhm.
before we get into all that great catching up and things like that, I want to give Marianne the opportunity to introduce herself.
Thanks, Lachelle. I am so excited to be back with you. I always love our conversations. We could talk forever.
Yes.
And I am Marianne Pack. I am a spiritual medium and an oracle for my spirit guides the many, and also a joy advocate. And
Mm-hmm.
so I love helping people reawaken the joy that is who they are. And that's my primary goal in life, is to reawaken our joy and to know that's who we are.
I love that. And, joy is that's one of the things that was like a guiding light for me coming out of my
Mhm.
depression. I just want to feel joy and happiness every day. And it's just like my North Star every day I get up in the morning. So, how did you come to this revelation to be so passionate about joy?
I think because I lived the opposite for
Mm,
so many years. A victim mindset and a
mhm,
martyr and a people pleaser and so all of that created so much sickness in my life, and
mm,
I didn't know that that's what I was doing.
mhm,
And so I years later I started studying different healing practices because I needed to heal my body,
mm,
and that opened my mind to alternative thinking. And so that just led me down a path of finding more and more happiness in life and satisfaction, and focusing on what's going right instead of
mm,
always focusing on what was going wrong and
mhm,
how bad I was living life. So the more I started shifting my mindset, the more I started attracting more things that taught me about joy and love and who I really was on the inside,
mm.
not the conditional me, the inside me.
I love that. So the
Yeah.
conditional me versus the inside me. So
Yeah.
explain to many people because that's a aha, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
To know the inner me rather than the conditional one. So how did you have that mind shift? Because a lot of us are dealing with our conditional me's every day.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it affects our outlook on life. It affects what our goals
Mhm.
are and things that are actually happening because that's what we are really kind of manifesting. So, can you talk to us about how you transition from the 2?
Yeah. Um, I think initially when I started, after I had been so sick and I
Mhm,
crashed and I walked myself into a health food store and told the owner to fix me. I'd never been in a health food store. I was
mhm,
only 34 at the time. And I had two babies, and we were homeschooling and life was busy. We had moved out of state, and it just seemed like life was just, I was looking at everything conditionally.
mm,
Well, this isn't going right, and that's not going right, and I'm unhappy here, and I'm miserable, and I don't feel good. And I had a big list. I was queen of complaining. And when I realized, when I started studying metaphysics about how our thoughts and our emotions actually
mhm,
affect our physical body,
mhm,
I found Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life. And in the back, she has all the body parts and illnesses. And then she has the probable emotional cause.
mm,
And oh my goodness, I could go down every illness that I had and find the emotional response that I was living.
mm,
And then she'd give like an affirmation to try to start shifting your thoughts
mm,
and your beliefs. And so moving into realizing some of my beliefs were just really toxic for me. They just limited my life. They told me who I couldn't be. And I just felt so trapped.
mhm,
And then when I started realizing maybe I don't have to believe every one of these, what if I chose something that actually, that I believed, that felt good to my soul?
Mhm.
And then I started taking off,
I
because
love
I
that.
started realizing I want to be happy. I want to live in joy. I want to be peaceful and calm, and live that way. And so that's what I saw. That's what I started watching for in my life. And
Mm,
when I started looking for the good stuff, I started finding it. And that's really when I shifted, and studying with mentors and coaches and having people help me along the way.
mhm.
Um, so
I love that. I mean, I think that
yeah.
is, it sounds like my story. Okay.
Yeah,
I hear
exactly.
myself and a lot of my guests. It's like, hey, that was me. That was me. But,
Yes.
I think for some people, the hardest obstacle with this is having the trust to
Yes.
share and be transparent with somebody else
Mhm.
about, the mask that we've been covering it up with.
Right.
So, what are some tips that you could give somebody watching, especially during the holidays? We have a lot of smiles and it looks like joy, but people are missing loved ones. They may not be well, or financial issues. So, what advice would you give them about, beginning to have that trust so that they can turn their story around?
Well, definitely first get quiet,
Mhm.
because we cannot start trusting our inner being, trusting the God spark that was within us, until we zip it. We have to be quiet in meditation or in prayer or in just sitting and being, so that you actually can start hearing,
Mhm.
and hearing those messages of love. Because if you'll sit quietly, your inner being will have the opportunity to drop those little notes, those little nuggets of love and joy into you. And stay there long enough on a daily basis. That is one big one for me. Setting my intention
Mhm.
throughout the day, not just at the beginning of the day to have a good day and all,
Mhm.
but actually like segment intending, like when we know we're headed out to a family event, or we know we're missing someone, or we know we're not feeling up to par, during all the stress and the hubbub and the chaos that's going on, that you can actually, when you change a segment of your day, which is just anytime your day changes, from one thing to another,
Mhm.
just stop for a few seconds and ask yourself two questions. How do I want to feel?
Mhm.
And what do I want to experience? So you're setting that intention, that energy of what you're going to look for. You're going to look for, I want to feel good. I want to experience joy. If a person is coming into your presence, or you're going somewhere, say, put your intention out. I want to really enjoy this time with my family, or
Mhm.
this party at work, or this event, or whatever it happens to be. And set your intention. And if you can, jot it down, because there's been so many times that I'll segment intend, like I'm going somewhere, and I set the intention of what I want to feel and what do I want to experience. And I come home from the event and I look at my little notebook, and I actually created and received that very thing.
Mm,
I got to enjoy that. I got to, feel the experience with the people and be a blessing to
mm,
others.
mhm,
So, those are two big things that I use all the time. And my mantra, my absolute favorite mantra of all time, is all is well. If I
mhm,
can take a breath, because when we breathe, we're summoning life force through our bodies.
mm,
So we're feeding our souls. Every cell in our body gets fed.
mhm.
And so I always think, when I take my deep breaths, I just envision all my little cells with little happy faces, that they're getting what they need to take care of me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, there's so much to visualization,
Yes.
because a lot of people have a goal, we write it down, but like that image that you say yourselves being happy and having smiling faces.
Mhm.
If you say that you want to go to Mexico, you're not going to envision the word Mexico. You're going to think about what is some of the scenery in Mexico?
Yes.
What is it going to feel like, the wind
Yes.
or the
Yes,
sun or
yes.
whatever, right? And
Yeah.
so I think that's so important to get back to that creativity with, like a childlike uh,
Mhm, very much.
situation. We have so much imagination as kids,
Yeah.
and our brain doesn't know the difference. So, what are
Yes.
some routines that you have now as a result of understanding that it is you kind of orchestrating a lot of your experiences rather
Mhm.
than the things just happening to you? So, what do you
Yes.
do now in your routine?
Yes. I definitely love to meditate. I'd love to set some quiet time aside.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do that. I love to do affirmations for me. How I want to feel like, and even expressing that I am love embodied,
Mm-hmm.
that I am joy embodied, that it's not just my physical form, that my God spark inside me is that joy that I can live. So I think of possibilities. And I love how you said about Mexico. You don't think about the details of, well, I'm going to go here and I'm going to go there and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to, see this site and I'm going to swim in this. And you think about, oh, it's going to be so wonderful to sit on that beach and feel that breeze and how you want to feel. So there's so much more to feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I love knowing that my emotions tell on my thoughts every single time. So
Mm-hmm.
we basically have two emotions, ones that feel good and one that feels bad.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can start paying attention to how you feel throughout the day, then
Mm-hmm.
you have a choice of which way you want to go. Am I feeling good? Great, go for it. Keep going. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
not feeling so good, what were my previous thoughts? Were they not very were they not very complimentary thoughts about myself or someone else or whatever's going on?
Mm-hmm.
So where do I go from here? If I don't want to feel that way anymore, then I have to shift my thoughts and I have that control. Nobody can think one thought for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that we're completely in control of is that we have the freedom to choose our thoughts and we can feel how we're feeling because we can't monitor the thoughts. They say we have 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts a day.
Mm-hmm.
Who could monitor that? But they all
Mm-hmm.
carry feelings. They all carry an
Mm-hmm.
emotional response. So I
That's
pay
good.
attention a lot to how I feel. Does this thought feel satisfying or
Mm,
unsatisfying? You
that's
know,
good stuff.
we can
I
pay
had to write that
attention.
down.
Yeah.
Our emotions tell on your thoughts. That's good. Okay.
Yes. So
But
I love that they're tattletaling.
yes, I mean, and I think that's so, one of the things that's really key in this one, with that realization is that you have to have that time of slowing down
Yes.
because, I was dealing with crazy thoughts all the time, but I was
Mhm.
masking that with busyness,
Yes.
or doing other things and distractions that keep you from those thoughts instead of just saying,
Mhm.
wait a minute, this isn't a good thought and getting rid of it, you know?
Right.
So I love that.
And
Now,
there's a lot of times, that we'll people please or we'll do something else. It's just like you said, you just keep busy so that you don't
mhm,
have to pay attention to what's going on up here
mhm,
and move it down into here.
yeah, I
So,
love that. Now,
yeah.
so when you have those thoughts, like you said, the emotions tell on your thoughts.
Mhm.
So you have a bad thought. What should be your response? Because for some people, you have them so much, they just run rampant in your head, and you kind of, how do you take that moment to pause and say, you know what, get out of here, or
Yeah.
whatever, or
Right.
this just isn't
Right.
serving me.
Yeah. Yeah. When I notice I've got a snowball going, that's the
Mhm.
momentum
Mhm.
that builds. And so we have to slow the momentum. We can't just shift from crappy thoughts or bad feeling thoughts to something joyous in a
Right.
split second. It doesn't happen. It's
Mhm.
energetically impossible to
Mm.
jump. So what we have to do is kind of creep it up.
Mm.
Notice, oh, I am really feeling bad right now. I have, and so what a lot of times I'll do, I'll catch myself in that and just go, oh, Marianne, you're doing it again. And it's so unnecessary.
Mm.
My inner being isn't thinking that way. That's why it feels bad. Negative emotion
Mm.
is because we're not aligned with our inner being, our soul.
That's good stuff.
We're thinking totally opposite. And so we feel that discord, that
Mhm.
distance that we've created by our thoughts. When we could say, what I ask myself is, okay, what would my inner being know, think, and feel about me and about this situation right now? And then I try to be still for a few minutes. And
Mm.
if you ask that, you will get the most loving, caring, supportive feelings and thoughts that start coming in if you'll truly quiet down for a few minutes.
Mm.
But just we've got to pay attention that we're just thinking in opposition to who the true us is
Mm.
on the inside. So we got to
Mhm.
slow them down a little bit and then we can't just start rattling off affirmations of joy at the
Mhm.
same time. We have to say, well, I'm moving into that. I'm starting to believe that. I'm beginning to learn how to be aware. So you sometimes have to use bridging words. You can't just say,
Mm.
I am joy, I am love in
Mhm.
that condition, but you can say, wait a minute. I know my inner being is teaching me that I am love. I
Mm.
know that I have moments where I feel joy.
Mhm.
We can't stay in a bad mood forever. It just
Mhm.
cannot happen. There
Mhm.
has to be glimpses of joy and happiness throughout your day.
Mhm.
And that's where you grab hold and you revel in those at the moment because then they start expanding and it gets longer and longer in your day. That's what I noticed
Mhm.
is that the more I started actually looking for them, the longer I got time in my day that I felt better and I
Mhm.
felt better and I felt better. And now it's like all day,
Mhm.
you know, where I can go to bed happy and get up happy.
That's a blessing.
And
Yeah.
it's not that everything is perfect in my life.
So true. Yeah.
No.
That's good stuff. Now, so for people who are in this space and they're like, it's getting to be the beginning of a new year. We're
Mhm.
closely approaching that. I want to do something different. What would you recommend, because they have the same family, they have the
Yes.
same house, and a lot of these things are the same, even though they want to change. So, what would be your recommendation for how they should transition into this new way of thinking and new attitude?
I think the first thing is start paying attention to how you feel because our conditions will not shift until we shift our vibration, our feeling. So that's what the universe is matching is our feeling. It doesn't matter how lovely our words are. If we don't feel like that on the inside, our feelings trump our words every time.
Yeah.
So if we if we can start paying attention to how we're feeling and then start doing something about it, even if it's little incremental steps, to think of one thought that feels a little better, or you go pet your cat, or you take a warm shower, or take a nap, or whatever feels a little better.
Mm,
If you can feel a little better now, you can feel even a little better again and then
mm,
again. So it's always starts with how you're feeling first and
mhm.
then start doing something about it. Choosing, because again, you have free will to choose your thoughts.
I love that. Yes, so this is great stuff. I hope people are paying attention and taking notes. So talk to us about, your book project and everything you have going on for the end of the year and for 2022.
Yes, yes. Um, I have this month I'm working on a book, and it is entitled "We Are Joy," and it's actually going to be a book series. So
Mhm,
each book is going to be 12 lessons in a different topic. So the very first book is going to be "We Are Joy:
mhm.
12 Lessons to Reawaken Who We Really Are."
Mm,
So as we reawaken, because one of my programs was called "Reawaken Your Joy,"
oh,
so it's just remembering, and
mhm,
I like to call it remembering. It's you're remembering all those members, all those parts of you that
mm,
maybe you've hidden away, tucked away for safekeeping because it wasn't safe to expose yourself to the world, or you've been shamed, or whatever, and put them all back together because that's who you are. You This brought you to this place, and
mhm,
now you're seeking more from life, more joy.
mm,
So I am looking forward to this book. It should be coming out in December,
mhm,
so I'm very much looking forward to that. We already have another couple in the works that I'm actually writing on, and the third one is one that's going to be a collaboration with a friend, and then we have another one in the works that will be. It's called Unmuted Voices,
mm,
because it's people who have come from, just like you and me, we both suffered
mhm,
with deep depression,
mhm,
and living a very suppressed life.
mhm,
Um, and and now they have made that transition, and
mhm.
they're finding their voice, and they're finding their joy and their love for life, and it's made such a huge difference. And what they're doing now, how are they blessing the world with their voice now, because they now get to speak up and get to speak their truth, because that was huge for me.
Yeah.
um, Being able to find my voice was such a blessing. So these We Are Joy books are being going to be coming out, and I'm so excited about those. So
I
I'm
think that
really,
is awesome. And I love the collaborations and everything
yeah.
you have going on for people that are watching and they're like, I just don't have time, or how am I going to put it in a book? What advice would
Mhm.
you give? Because I feel like, I was doing a post earlier about reels because I have someone who has taught me how to do reels. And
Mhm.
I just was like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. Now it's like I have a catalog of stuff. And so,
Ooh.
we have so much content sometimes that
Yes,
we
that's
just don't even think this isn't even, what am I going to do with this? But
right.
talk to us about how you came to that. Like you said, you had a course that was the subtitle of your book. So, how
Hmm.
did you go into really organizing that and coming to that
Oh,
of this is
yes. I got this idea. I'm an avid writer, and I have
Mhm.
written blogs for years.
Mm,
And I thought, what can I do with this content? It's so yummy. It's so good. And it's of great value. But, what can I do with it? And that's when I got this idea of these books.
mhm,
So I downloaded, I don't know, about 200 blogs into one document, so I could kind of sort
mhm,
them and put them in categories and topics. And so that's how this got started. This initial one was it's mostly blog posts. And
mm,
then it's because I always create, like, whatever topic I'm doing, it's a lesson, and then steps to integrate it.
oh,
So
I love
what
that.
I'm
Yeah.
doing in these books, they're actually the entire lesson, and then at the end of each chapter is integrative exercises where people can work on it, like, throughout the week. So it's
Mhm.
almost like a 3-month course with me.
I love that.
So, yes, please, people, use your
Mhm,
content. If you have videos that
mhm,
have really good content, find somebody to transcribe them
mhm,
and use those. Use that information for courses, You know, you could put them up as evergreen courses. You could put them up as an audio book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, so there's just so many ways to use the content that we already have.
Mm-hmm. So true. And I love that whole piece about the implementation because,
Yes.
we can
Oh,
be information junkies. Okay.
yes.
I
Oh,
have
yes.
books and it's so funny. Every time I go somewhere, I'm like right over to the book section, or I look
Yes.
where I'm at. My husband is like, look, I used to be like that for cookbooks. And I thought, you know what? I really see that I don't need all these cookbooks.
Hmm.
But self-development or people's stories, I don't know, I'm just a nut, okay?
Hmm.
But I love the addition of the implementation because
Yes.
sometimes when you get this rich content, you sometimes don't know how to implement it. You don't know what you don't know. But you
Right.
hear a different perspective and it sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
But, I love how you take it a step further to help
Mhm.
people with that transition.
Yeah, I just didn't want to write a book because it's like there's been so many times that I've actually had books like that that
Mhm.
had integrative exercises or ways to assimilate practices or rituals or whatever it happened to be,
Mhm.
and that was so helpful. I got more out of those books because I'm an avid reader. I love to study. um it's if I could be a researcher, I would be just happy as could be and just
Mhm.
write about my research. So yes, I mean, we have to integrate it. What is the point if we just have more
Mhm.
information? We
Mhm.
have to turn that information, that knowledge, into wisdom.
Love that. That was awesome. So
Then we can serve. Then we
so
can serve.
true. I love
Mhm.
that. And that's how you learn.
Yes,
You learn by getting this information, taking it into action, and then sharing it with somebody else. So that's
absolutely.
absolutely great. Now, so what's the best way for the audience to get a hold of you?
It's real easy. It's right there on the screen, mariannepack.com.
Awesome.
So all of my services, the things that I offer, um, I have a call that you can get on if you have a question and you want me to help you, and introduce you to my spirit guides. That's I offer calls with them, and they give like a reading. It's sort of like if you went to somebody for an oracle card reading.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a question that you need an answer to, and this is usually they're not fortune tellers. This isn't what we do. It's more about who you are
Mm-hmm.
and how you're living.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about your attitudes usually and your perspective. And so, they just give wisdom that people appreciate,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
it tends to be layered. So as they
Mm-hmm.
think about it and actually start implementing sometimes what the many have told them,
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's peeling back those layers and you get more authentic. You start glowing, life shifts because you align.
I love that. Now, and so tell everybody about your show as well.
Oh, yes. I have a podcast. It's called Dynamic Thriving
Mhm,
Podcast. And uh, we took a break for October and December.
mhm.
And so actually in 2022, I think that I'm actually going to start it to be a live show, and then I'll put those
Mm,
those audios on the podcast too.
mhm,
But I really miss the live interaction,
mhm,
um, that I did the year before with Coffee and Convo Live. And so
mhm.
this year, I think I'm going to start, and we're going to start with the Unmuted Voices series.
Love
So
it.
I'm really looking forward to having, people on that have a story to tell about how they found their authentic voice
Mhm.
and their truth, and how they're using it now to impact and create good in the world and in their families and communities. So,
I love that.
yes.
Well, this has just been wonderful. I see you are still up to great things, and I am so honored that you were able to come back and
Oh,
share. And looking forward to your book. I mean, it sounds amazing. So
Mhm.
definitely want to hear about that when it comes out. And so, what final words would you like to share with the audience? Anything that's on your heart as we close 2021 and go into 2022? Just
Mhm.
anything that you feel led to share.
I think my favorite quote from my mentor, Abraham Hicks, maybe some of your audience has heard of Esther Hicks, and um, they have a quote that is like my favorite, and it's, "You are joy
Mm,
looking for a way to express." And I
mm,
would encourage everybody to take that in, take that energy in, to know that you are joy and you're
mm,
just looking for a way to express it in your life, to
mm,
express
mm,
it in the world, to bring more joy. Because
mm.
that's what we're here for. We're here to experience as much joy as possible. And if we're not, we need to seek some help and some guidance.
So true. I mean,
Yeah.
that is beautiful.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you again. And for those of you that took time out of your schedule, we really appreciate you sharing this
Mhm.
time with us. If something Marianne said resonated with you, please feel free to reach out to her, mariannepack.com. If you have any comments, please share them in the comment section, and we'll be sure to also forward those as well. But in the meantime, again, thank you so much, Marianne. We look forward to great things in 2022.
Yes. Yes.
And congrats on your book. And we'll be
Yes.
excited to hear all about it when it comes out.
Thank you so much, Lachelle. This has been such a joy for me.
Oh, you are such a blessing. And I'm so glad that we got connected. So,
Mhm.
looking forward to great things in 2022 for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and we will see you all on the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye bye.